All right, so let's hop into it. So for this scene, let's just look at it. Okay, so I'm immediately seeing screen left arm right here. No overlap on it, right? Like that hand is staying in this position. Let's go to a white color there. Sorry, I don't have my tablet connected here, so it's going to be a little bit rough, but hand just is, you can tell it's an FK right there. See that? You can tell it's an FK. Leave it hanging a little bit in screen left, just for a little bit while you're doing that. Get a better hand pose on this. Also, yeah, I'm gonna be giving you pretty detailed notes because you're gonna be applying to places with this reel, and you can't show any flaws when you're doing that. So, also, you might want to try just leaving it in IK at the beginning here, because you do the IK switch right here, and it just feels a little bit snappy. You're going to get a lot more control if you just start in IK for the screen right hand. Perfect. I feel like this first tug feels a little bit strange, right? So when I'm picturing this scene, they kind of go up and they grab it casually. Like, I feel like you should get like a little bit more of a casual face on them right here, because you want like a beat where they're like, oh, I have this. I'm just gonna grab this sword. It's gonna be easy, So then they'll just be more casual in the face and the pose, and just kind of like have them get surprised when they pull it. So they have that sort of moment where they have them like look at the sword a little bit and then adjust their grip. Maybe give them a different. So yeah, so I'm seeing this arm is kind of interpolating. It looks like you have like one key back here, and then the next one is like down here. Yeah, so just have them pull up and then leave that. Don't have that arm just kind of smoothly go around, right? Like, leave it back a little bit and then go in, and they don't need to do like one of these sort of like how they're doing right now. You can just reach for that, might be worth investigating IK in that as well. And then, yeah, I can see the IK FK pop right here, I feel like, look at, all right, so we talked about this. All right, one of the problems, this arm is, it's grabbing at a weird angle. If you grab something that's solid, your hand is going to be rotating on that. See how this hand rotates, even though I'm grabbing on that arm, it can still get that range of motion because that's like what our fingers are always doing. It's really annoying to do, but you need that sort of polish on this. Also, I'm seeing that the hand feels like it's clipping right here on frame 15. Don't do that. But yeah, so get some, like for this control, you need to be pulling on that. Also, try to squeeze these fingers together. I don't want to see that sword at all in between them. It's going to look really unpolished. And then, so yeah, I would have that. I would have her pull back, and then when she's looking down, still have that arm like in the back, right? Still have her pose be more like this, Sorry, I'm drawing with a mouse, so it's going to look real bad. So keep that arm back, like in the pose that it was in, like around here, And then she has that realization, and then she reaches over it. So from like, I don't know, 70 to frame 90, that's when she reaches over, right? And just do a casual. Like right now, she's kind of like, if you just track that arm, it's just kind of slowly rotating all the way from here onto that sword. It just needs a pass on that. And this one, I don't get as much of a pull from this. I don't get as much of a pull. Also, just this whole body animation. Look at the head. Like, watch the head and this torso throughout all of this. There is some bend in the spine, but look at that head. That head feels so dead to me, right? It feels pretty like pretty much like a puppet that you're just kind of like deep deep, and you get a little bit more natural sort of posing in there, right? To sort of sell that character moving. Like especially right here, this pull feels very. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of strength behind it. And make sure that when you get to these extremes in these poses, try to get more of a straight arm, right? Try to get more of a straight arm. Bring them like further back or something, because when you pull like this, like it doesn't feel as like they're putting as much into it, right? So make sure you do that. Polish this up. Like I feel like you definitely need to like record yourself doing these motions, because you're gonna see a lot of intricacy in when you're doing this. Because right now, like just look at the motion of those hips. It just kind of feels like someone holding it and doing that, right? It doesn't feel like those legs are activating or anything. Like you might have to do like when they grab, you might have to do like shift the feet a little bit, you know, like as if it's doing an actual step, because that's like what we do in real life, right? Like, and yeah, like you would do the grab, and then and then you when you realize that you can't get it, you would then get your arms in there, and then I think a nice little touch would also be, see how your hands are in like one pose this entire time. You could do another like boom. You could do another and then like adjust the grip, like so you could start with one on top and then have them like grab underneath and then do that, because right now they're kind of just like you know, so it doesn't feel as good. Like I want you to try to get some acting into that as well. Let's see. I don't know why I'm putting my earbuds in, because there's no audio on this one. But yeah, definitely adjust the grips, right? If you were doing this with a sword, you would see your hands are rotating around. I don't have anything good to really use as a prop for that, but like you would see that like you would pull up and you're like, oh man, what the like you would really be playing around with the grip a lot on that. So make sure that you do that. It's going to give you a lot more life in that scene. Get some straight arms on these poses, dude. You gotta stretch those out. You gotta really push the exaggeration of this, especially like this, right? You have this like bent arm. I want to see them like going ham, right? And they could like even tuck that, like in one of these poses you could tuck their head down and they're like really like looking at it like, or like it doesn't have to be like the last one, but like you can definitely play with your posing, because you're getting kind of samey sort of posing on a lot of these on a lot of these pulls. Like boom, if I compare this pose to like this pose, like the same, boom, it's like the same right there. So just work on that. Like try to get those to be looking different. And then this, boom. The pull out is not. It's not super clean. I want to have them pull up, like their arc kind of. See how they do go up right there, but make it more extreme. You know. Also, since this screen left leg is the one that's being pushed on, right? Like as soon as they lift that foot onto the rock right there, boom, and then they do this push, there's a lot of strength going in through here. So when they pop off like this, that foot should remain planted, because their muscles are still pushing on the rock right there, right? Like they put so when they pull it out, you'll have a pose of where instead of that foot going up, you'll have this other leg go up instead. Boom. and then this will be like more straight back here. Sorry, again, it's mouse drawing. I think that's how the physics would work with that scene, right? Because they put a lot of strength in that, and so then you could also go higher up in frame. But yeah, and then yeah, because right now they're also they go screen left. Also, they slow down before anything would actually catch them there. I'm noticing in the animation, so make sure the gravity looks right. Like just imagine this hip as a bouncing ball. As soon as you let go on it right there, boom, it's just going to be on a clean arc. It's just, instead right now it slows into that bottom. No, I just got to boom. So it'll be that sort of rhythm. And then yeah, I would say finish out the scene with some sort of like them holding it or something, or like inspecting it, and or like being like do like a brow wipe, do like a sigh, like I'm exhausted, like so there's a lot of things that you can do at the end, but yeah, resolve the scene somehow. But yeah, that's about it for this one. Definitely film yourself, dude. Definitely film yourself. You need to really get in there with that. And then let's look at your other one. Oh shit, I don't see it. I do not see it. Maybe this one? I'm just gonna look at the one in the class reel. Let me see. 392. Video links. Where are you? Where are you? Oh.
Wife comes home and
so it's unfortunate because I think your camera's way different in here. I don't think you uploaded a version of the sync sketch for this, but let's just see.
We've gotten to that point in quarantine.
Boom. Okay, so I'm noticing immediately screen right hand hits a it gestures, it does that, and then it hits a pose. You want to make sure you alleviate that. It kind of slowly goes screen right here as well. Damn, I really wish this was
that point in quarantine where my wife comes home and says, "Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item."
And then yeah, the arcs on this.
My wife comes home.
So it like clean up these arcs right here. Like if you look at this wrist, like just go into the, because I think this is an IK, right? So go into the translation and the of like the X, Y, and the Z. Go into all those curves and just clean up this motion right here. It kind of, I like that it bobs up and down and then out. Like I like that a lot, right? You're adding interest to that curve, but it happens really fast. I feel like there's like a little bit of poppiness in it. So just clean up that curve a little bit. You can keep all of the motion of it, right? Like you can keep the my wife comes home, like I like the wife right there. Like that's a fantastic arc that it's making. I really wish I could draw on it so I could draw out that arc, but
to that point in quarantine where my wife.
Yeah, but like you'll see that it pops up and then it goes down real fast and then it goes out. Have it just do that curve just a bit more gracefully.
Comes home and says, "Darn."
I like that. My wife comes home. Yeah, like I really like what that left arm is doing. Like you're definitely showing a lot more control on it. Careful for your prop placement because look at you. I'm noticing there's a lot of clipping with the torso in that table. Torso is clipping there. You can just shift that table, boom, forward a little bit. Also, let's see.
So we've gotten to that point in quarantine where my wife.
Upper torso could use a little bit of ambient motion.
That point in quarantine where my wife.
So we got to that point in quarantine where, like you get a little bit of motion in there, So
in quarantine where my wife
because right now we got to that point in quarantine where my wife like it's all only in the wrist. Remember, every single gesture is going to be felt throughout the body, right? Like you're going to be moving the body on all of these sorts of every single gesture. Every time the body, like every time your arms move, you are going to be moving that spine somehow. Like you don't like even if I'm just sitting here and I'm just moving one arm around, see how my body like follows that, right? Like that's going to be in every pose that you do ever. Like so please, when you are gesturing, get that spine activated, right? It's going to add a lot
comes home and says, "Darling, I brought."
Of nice motion to your piece. All right, let's see.
So we've gotten to that point in quarantine.
Already talked about this
arm.
arm.
Home and says, "Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item."
Yeah. The
wife comes home and says, "Darling, I brought home a potential." So we've gotten to that point in quarantine where my wife comes home and says, "Darling, I brought home."
I think the timing of this arm going back into the darling, I think it's a little bit too even.
Where my wife comes home and says, "Darling."
Where my wife comes home and says, "Darling," like this is like a little detail thing, but like just delay it, like keep it out there for like a couple more frames, like literally just like a couple more frames. Like I feel like I want a little bit more snappiness from that arm.
Where my wife comes home and says, "Darling,"
because it goes, darling. It kind of like rotates a little bit back into this pose a little bit slow. I kind of want that pose to be like a like really fast, get like a cool arc on that, because it's
where my wife comes
because
home
it's a very
and says, "Darling,"
it's mocking, and it's all, I don't know. I feel like that you want this pose to not be telegraphed as much there. Like also
home and says, "Darling, I." That point in quarantine where my wife comes.
I feel like when this screen right hand goes out, and remember, clean up that so it's not as even, in timing. Also, it's like unclear whether or not you want it to be contacting the table still at this point. I don't know if it is, because if it is, then you need to get that elbow contact clean. But I would say that the finger posing, you could change up the pose on here a little bit, like open it up a little bit rather than keeping it closed, or like get it to work all in the gesture there, because it feels a little bit. It feels like it's just like in that pose, ready for the darling pose right there. But yeah, let's see. Oh, also, yeah, just through all of this, you need a little bit cleaner phonemes on the mouth shapes. By the way, that's kind of easier to do. It definitely takes time. It's kind of just tedious, but it's definitely, it's not too hard or anything, because you just have the audio there and you just kind of listen to the audio and you match it up visually. Definitely get the mirror out if you haven't, and film yourself doing that. But yeah, and then let's see.
Says, "Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item."
Something about this section of the.
"Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item."
It's like a little bit offbeat. The animation is there. The animation is a little bit offbeat. The darling is right. That one's timed well.
Says, "Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed."
But then you have like the darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item. But like the
item.
I like the
potentially cursed item.
I liked the cursed. I like the timing of that, but like these middle points are a little bit off, out of time right now.
"Darling, I brought home a potentially cursed."
Brought home a potentially cursed, because it's like, I feel like you started the scene doing, darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item. I feel like that was the timing you went with. So then you had three. You had darling, potentially cursed, right? So darling, potentially cursed item. That's what you had before, but then you switched the gesture forward to cursed, so then you only have, darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item, right? But then you still, in your animation, you still have those 3 bobs, right? You have, if I go back a little bit, you have
Darling,
1, 2, 3. So you have those 3 in there. I think you need to get rid of one of those back and forth and combine it with the curse. So, darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item, So kind of break it apart like that, right? Have it punctuate each of those beats, because right now it's a little bit offbeat with this sort of back and forth bob. I think just darling, I brought home a potentially cursed item. Like you get it on that sort of timing there.
Cursed item.
I don't like the hand pose on this screen right arm right here. I don't like that very much. It kind of just feels like you left it in that pose. It just needs some more help.
Item.
The key word is potentially.
The key word.
Potentially.
Again, this character.
The key word is potentially.
She's moving when she hears her partner say, the key word is potentially, right? So she's already moving, like,
Item.
The key word is potentially.
Look, she's already moving her arms, already moving the arms up, and then the character hasn't even said potentially yet.
Potentially.
See? And so, key word is potentially. The key word, like, delay that, right? As the other actor in the scene, you need to receive your dialogue, right, from the partner, and your character would need to process that, think about what they said, and then gesture, right? Having the character gesture at the same time
is potential.
Like before, it feels like it just makes the scene feel a little bit scripted, feel a little bit stiff, So have them react. So the key word is potentially. The key word, like have it be on that timing, right? Like you need to, like, as another, like, 2 people were having a conversation, they wouldn't know that they're going to say potentially yet, right? But this character is already doing the motions, like they know what they're going to say, So I'd say delay that a little bit. Also,
Item.
The key word is potentially.
the timing on it, because they go up really fast and then they slow into that bottom pose. That's not right. Have it be a little bit of hang time up here and then fast into that final pose, right? They're slamming on the table. If you wanted, scoot the table a little bit with that slam, right? It's like a furious slam. The key word is cursed. Like, kind of, you can bump the table, shuffle it, have the book.
The key word.
Have the book.
Item.
The key word is potentially.
That, like, you can have the book kind of like do a little thing like that. You could have the
potentially cursed item.
Let's see.
The key word is potentially.
The key word.
Yeah, you have the chair move back. Have the chair move back and do a little sort of bobble. Like, things don't just move, like, slide back that cleanly in real life. Like, think about the friction of the feet against the floor as that chair moves, right? Like, you'd feel like a little bit of that jitteriness in there, and then it would kind of boom, slide back, and then kind of tilt. Like the maybe one of those legs would catch a little bit, and then it would settle in there. That's just like physics animation. I actually hate doing that, but I know a lot of people that love doing that. But it does really sell the scene. Because we're essentially just selling physics and acting when we're doing animation, right? So those 2 things.
Is cursed. The key word is item.
The key word is potentially. The key word is potentially.
Definitely work on these arms, right? So I'm noticing that they also let go at the exact same time and go up and down. It just feels it feels really really like you're doing a lot of twinning there. Change it in terms of timing, change it in terms of pose. So instead of going the key word, like do in the middle part, you'll have a pose that's kind of like leave one arm lower than the other, leave one arm up in the other, and then have them switch timing. Boom. So like it'll add a lot of interest to that small moment. Right now it's like that. Boom. Like have there be like have them be sell the mass of that scene, right? Have them doing clean arcs on these hands. Have them slam down, right? Keep that fast timing into that bottom pose.
Is cursed.
Let's see.
The key word is cursed. Is cursed. Is cursed.
The key word is potentially.
The key word is cursed.
I feel like you could get something, because right now they do. The key word is cursed, right? And there is also difficult. So this is a little bit of a scene direction note, right? Like she's talking to the camera, right? Potentially cursed item, and then off screen she hears keyword is potentially, and then she says the key word is cursed. Like I feel like she could be engaging with the camera, and then on the cursed she would turn to that off screen voice, right? So it should be the key word is cursed, you know, like so you can get a note in there. Also, I feel like you can do the stand up, like the key word is cursed, you know, like so you could then take that hand off, like one of those hands off the table again. So the key word is cursed, you know. So like she's really talking to someone off screen and kind of punctuating that note, because that's like the apex of the scene, right? Okay, that's it from now. Again, film yourself doing this, and you'll see super minute movements, and you'll be like, do I really need to put that in there? Answer is yes. Answer is 100% yes. That's exactly why we film references, because you're going to see small details, small tiny movements, and I know that your eyes will be able to see them, and because I had the same question. I was like, do I need to add this little movement of the waist while sitting in the chair? And yeah, you do. 100% you do, because like that's going to differentiate you from other people, right? Like other people aren't going to do that. They're not going to go that extra mile. Like I'm glad that you're already asking for notes, and that tells me that you're looking to go the extra mile, right? So yeah, please do that, and you'll be unstoppable, right? So get all those notes in there, film reference, pay attention to the minute details, clean arcs, clean timing, and yeah, that's it. All right, thanks a lot. Let me know if you have any questions.